Time to wake up and have a productive day. Wait a minute. No way. He actually did it? He actually got over 700 subscribers? Well, now I gotta see what it is he did for his video. Wait. Risk of Rain 2? But that's our game. I will not stand for this. It's only 5 in the afternoon, and I've already been disrespected. Let's find out what's so great about this video. Okay. Alright. Damn it. It's a good video. Of course it is. It's by him. It's by Darian-sama. He's getting in my head again. How can I come back from this? How can I show him that I'm better? That I deserved to be in this video? Think. Risk of Rain. What did he do? Sonic? I'm not good. I'm not good at Sonic games. Okay, what about Risk of Rain 2? I'm good at that, right? No, not really. But he only beat it on Rainstorm. Now that's something. See, I can beat it on Monsoon. I'll show him. I'll show him right goddamn now. Jerry, start the video. What's up, guys? It's your boy, DDaKing. And I am feeling vengeful, angry, disturbed. I have been disrespected by my own friend. And have you guys ever been hurt in such a way before? I know now that I have. So you might be thinking, well, how are you going to do this? You don't have Sonic in Risk of Rain 2. You're not a modder. Well, luckily for me, he left me a perfect little path. If you check the description of Darian-sama's video, because I will not be putting it in mine, he has the download link for this mod, allowing me to play just as well as he did. And little does he know that I do not play games. Alright, so unlike the imbecile, silly nanny, goofball Darian-sama, I am coming in this game prepared. I'm going to do a few practice rounds, get a feel for the character. We're going to take this first round to, kind of get a feel, understand, and to allow me to explain to you, those who may not have played Risk of Rain 2, W game by the way, what we're looking at. So, first things first, we're playing as Sonic, which means that anything character related that I explain might not apply to you unless you decide that you want to play as Sonic. Maybe you're a Sonic fan just like I am. Regardless, I'm going to show you exactly how Sonic plays. Just to start. Now, obviously, in this first section, we are dropping into the very first map, which is Distant Roots for us this time. It can also be Titanic Plains, but we're getting Distant Roots. You spawn in, and I spend the first minute or two here just kind of, messing around, doing the basic attack. I tried the double jump, I tried the R attack. Wasn't sure what it did, but it did launch me forward. It was definitely kind of a spinning homie attack of sorts. I tried the right mouse button, obviously shoots out some distance attacks. And then I'm like, Sonic is slow. So I try shift to see if maybe there's a boost button, and of course there is. Super cool, super great, and I stumble upon one of the first things that you need to know about when it comes to Risk of Rain 2. Turrets, or drones. There are several different kinds. You have your missiles, your health, you have your emergency ones, you have a whole bunch of different types of drones to help you out. I recommend grabbing every single one except for stationary turrets. They are completely useless in my opinion. But let's continue and talk about what else might be important in this run. Next up is the enemies. You have these baby little Lunarians, and then you have these Craboids. These are your basic fare. These are the ones that you're going to have a very, very easy time fighting. But if they gang up while you're low on health, you know, you might die. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. You might and probably will die that day. But, you know, that is just the nature of the beast. As you can see with this stage, we have the Void Seed. It is a giant purple area that causes constant damage. For my Fortnite fans, it's basically the storm. And you have to clear out 4 of these purple enemies that have more health and kind of do more damage. And once you take them out, you will get a little present. You know, once the Void Seed itself is destroyed. Now, these enemies have this. I don't remember the exact name of it, but I believe it's called Hemorrhage. This will kill you. So be extra careful to not get hit by these attacks. But if you do, try not to do too much damage to those enemies around you. I'm not sure exactly how it's calculated, but it seems as though the more damage you do to an enemy, the more damage it does to you once the hemorrhage stops. You have the Void Seed cleared out. You have these, the Void Eggs. They come in 2 variants, the kind of useless variant and the kind of useful variant. Kind of useless variant comes with these items. These being this ukulele, which is, I believe, is actually the electric guitar. It takes all of your ukuleles and turns them into electric guitars. You may be wondering, what does that mean? It means every time that you attack, you have a chance of shocking the enemies around you. Next is this bracelet. What does it do? I don't know. It's trash. I don't use it. Next is this power cell looking thing. It gives you extra of your R attack. Next is this fire. What does it do? I don't know. I just don't remember. Next up is this laser turret thing that it looks like. I believe that one causes hemorrhage. And then finally you have this flower thing that looks kind of dead. Don't ask me what it does. I don't use it. Now, the good Void Egg. This one comes with a smaller selection, but a much better selection except for one. You have safer spaces. This little teddy bear will make it so that any first hit that you take with a recharge time of, I believe, 10 seconds will be completely negated, and you can stack that to the moon. You can have 1,000,000 of those to the point where you literally can't take damage. Next up is the Trip Bird. I don't remember exactly what it does, but it is extremely useful. I do use it on occasion. Next up is the 8 Eyes. It takes your sunglasses and it turns them into a much stronger variant. They do critical strike chance, the sunglasses. And if you grab 10 of them, you have a 100% critical strike chance, meaning every single attack you do is likely to be critical, which I believe does double damage. But if you, instead of doing critical strike chance, want to have a chance to insta-kill, well, these are your friend. They give you, I believe, either 1% or 5% chance to instantly kill an enemy whenever you attack them. Meaning if you have 100 of them, which I have done in a run, do not at me, then every single enemy that you attack, except for bosses, will instantly die. Next up, you have the Weeping Mushrooms. These ones are a better version of the standard mushrooms. Standard mushrooms give you health when you're standing still. Weeping ones give you health when you're running. Since you're going to be running a lot in this game, it's good to just have that constant regen. And then you have the Rusty Key. They open rusty boxes, which have a chance of appearing on stages. This is completely useless if you play the game I do, if you play the game the same way I do, where boxes do not spawn. Finally, let's go over a few bosses. On this stage, I ended up fighting the Magma Worm. It's really easy, although I, being an epic gamer, have this item. A gun. It is an item that insta-kills bosses, except for the final boss, and it's just generally OP. It also causes them to drop their yellow item. Well, what are yellow items? They are these items based on the bosses that they come from. You have this little sack that comes from the queen beetle. It spawns littler beetles that fuck things up. Kind of useful, but also kind of useless. They are a lower tier item in my opinion. Then you have this gobbledygook. Don't ask me what it comes from. I don't remember. That one will give you the ability to cause any bleed damage that you have to make them explode. Now, I didn't end up grabbing any bleed this run, mostly because I was trying to get through it as fast as possible. But yeah, it's pretty useful. I like it. I'm a fan. Then you have this horn. This horn causes any hit that you do to have a chance of sending up to, I believe, 5 fireballs out. They're really useful for grouping up. They're very useful for attacking enemies that like to group up together, because then all the enemies will be attacked by you attacking just one of them. This one, this little orb of chaos, that's not what it's called. It's also not an orb. It's more like a chunk. This one will give you a better regen. Are you someone that gets hurt very often? Grab this one, so at the very least, you can regenerate faster, you filthy swine. You're trash at the game. Get good. Next is this. It looks like lightning because it is. It causes any attack that you do to have a chance of having a lightning strike, which does an insane amount of damage. Then you have this one right here. It causes any elite that you destroy to turn into what I like to call absolute destruction maniacs that have protection shields. These are good for longer games, like if you're planning to go until round 20, into stage 20, mostly because eventually every enemy that spawns is going to become an elite. And so by destroying these, you are mitigating the chances of you being killed by lowering the amount of enemies you have to deal with. Next is this dolphin thing. Don't ask me what it does. I don't use it. Next is the dragon egg. I don't remember what it does. It's probably good. Next is the adorable little drones. 2 giant floating spheres come up. One shoots lasers, the other one shoots lasers. Anyways, they're amazing, and they're the ones that I always get. They're always the first one that I get. And then you have this urn, which every time you go near an enemy, you begin to steal their health. It's actually based on a different enemy that you fight in a different area. It's pretty good. I use it, but it's usually like the last one that I choose. And then you have this mask. Don't ask me what it does. I don't know. Next up is one of the most important item that you can get. The red item. Now, they can spawn from any enemy, although they are extremely rare. Luckily, on stage 4, there is always a guaranteed red item that you can purchase for a certain amount of money depending on how long that you've been playing this round. Since I've only done it for 25 minutes, it only costs $2,800. Now, when you get to it and you open it up, you get a choice of these beautiful items. All of these items are good. There is not a bad item here. There are some items that are better than others, but they're all good. I do not use all of them because at least 4 or 5 of them aren't really useful for my particular build, but they're all still good regardless. Allow me to go over some of my favorites. The 34-leaf clover gives you better odds, gives you very good luck. I don't use it very often, but it is quite useful. This one that looks like a rocket launcher, it makes every attack explode. Explode damage is very good, very useful. Next is this laser. The laser makes all of your critical attacks do double damage, beyond the already double damage that critical strikes do. Next is these knives. You get a set of knives. They are floating, and they will automatically attack enemies, and they're alright. They do pretty good damage. This is Dio's pet bear. This one will save your life, literally. If you die, it will bring you right back to life. It's just that good. And then you have these discs. I love these discs. I'm not sure exactly how they work. All I know is that a bunch of discs get spawned and they murder everything. They are probably my second favorite, if not third favorite item, red item. allow us to move on to the boss of this area. This time we got a relatively rare boss. There is a way to guarantee fighting him, but in terms of teleporter boss, I feel like I get this boss the least out of all of them. It is the Solus Control Unit. It's basically your two giant drones, but they're fighting you. And they don't shoot lasers, instead they have like these weird AoE attacks that I don't really understand how they work. But honestly, they're super easy to fight. You just jump on top of them and start beating their brains in. Now, the final stage. This one is interesting because final stage is only partially correct. There's actually a few other final areas you can go to that have their own different requirements. Personally, I think this is the way to go. I think it's the most fun. One of them is extremely difficult because the boss is OP as all hell, and the other one is way too easy, and in my opinion, it's the wuss way to get out of fighting. This one, though, is the most interesting in my opinion. You spawn into this stage, you have about 4 different enemy types that are really, really difficult to deal with. You have the machine gun guy that shoots you from a distance and fires about 700,865,812 bullets per second. Each bullet does a dumb amount of damage. I think it's like 10 or 20. So if you get hit for more than like 2 or 3 seconds, it's clips, unless you just have a stupid amount of health. Then you have these giant mechy boys. They're super chill. I just like killing them, but they are very fun. I love them. And then you have these little ball boys that are also easy to kill, but if you do kill them, they will spawn a radius of hurt and pain, the likes of which you do not understand. Now, the point of this stage is to clear out these pillars. There are, I believe, 4 types of pillars, and they're all just fine. You have this pillar, which you just stand in this radius, and it goes down over time. You don't have to stay in it. Because it's not like it's going to start going down. You just get in it when you want to do something, and if there's an enemy, maybe leave and go kill that enemy. Next up, you have the jump pillar. This one is basically hopscotch. It shoots out a little burst radius that will send you flying out, but as long as you jump, you don't have to worry about it. Then you have the blood pillars. These ones are my least favorite, but they're useful if enemies are around you because they will suck the blood out of enemies just as well as they suck the blood out of you. While in it, it takes your health away, and you just gotta stay there. Just take it. Take it like a punk. And the final one is the ice pillar. This one is purely time-based. You have to stay in the radius for as long as the pillar is there. If you don't, it will start to rebuild itself. Now that you've got all the pillars done, you may think to yourself, okay, where's the boss though? You are dumb. There are these 4 little jump pads in this final area. Jump on one of them and it will launch you all the way up to the final boss, otherwise known as Mithrix. A W final boss. Actually, an amazing final boss. I love this boss so much. He has 3 phases. First phase, he just runs up to you, smacks you around with his hammer. As long as you got that dodge on lock, you don't really have to worry about it. Eventually, sometimes he will jump into the center and throw out a giant wave of damage. You don't really got to worry about it too much. It's not that crazy. Next up, you have Phase 2, which is just a bunch of random enemies from this area attacking you. This is a good section to try to consolidate power. They're going to drop items. Well, they should drop items. They don't always. Do not pick them up. It's probably not a good idea. Although I do personally, just because I'm a very rush-down player, and I don't care if I die. If I die, I die. The next stage is Mithrix, comes back and begins to do this bullshit. He will still run up and hit you with the rushdown attacks, but then sometimes he'll just stop, and start doing this spinning explosion thing. And if you get hit by it more than like 2 or 3 times, you will die, and there's very little recovery time. So you want to be as far away from him as possible to give you the best chance of not getting hit. Now, as you can see here, I died during this match, but that is perfectly fine. It's alright. Allow me to explain to you the final phase of Mithrix. You know all those items that you've been relying on, all those items that you love and cherish so much? Yeah, he steals all of them, and they now all apply to him. Now, obviously, not really. Some of them do, like if you wanted to, like if you got the drones, now he has the drones, and the drones will attack you. And also there's one item that will never go to him, and that is if you get the special golden item, Aeroleonite. I did not get Aeroleonite in this matchup or the next one, mostly because Darian did, and I'm better than him. I don't need that crutch. So instead, I didn't fight Aeroleonite. I did not recruit him to my party. Plus, I just wanted to get this match done as quickly as possible. But now that he has all of your items, he's walking extremely slow, but is still extremely powerful. Every time you attack him, you get some of your items back. But as you attack him, he gets more fast and much stronger. Eventually you defeat him though, and honestly the third phase is really easy, especially if you have a melee character. And you will have to run out. The run out section I will leave until we get to the winning run. When will we get to that? Right now. Hit it! So, for this run, there is something I want to go over, and that is, what is the setup? So, now that I have beaten some of the challenges, there is one challenge for Sonic. You know, homie attack 8 enemies without touching the ground. Super easy. It gives you a parry attack. The parry is trash. I did not use it. This is Monsoon. There are 3 difficulties in this game: Drizzle, Rainstorm, and Monsoon. The only thing that these difficulties impacts is the number of enemies that will spawn at a time. So when you are on Monsoon, you're going to be overrun with a bunch of enemies at pretty much all times. But the next important thing for difficulty is the artifacts. There are 16 artifacts to contend with. How many do I use? 2, usually. Sometimes I might add another one if I'm feeling spicy today. But generally speaking, I use these 2. The artifact of sacrifice and the artifact that allows you to pick your items. Don't ask me what it's called. I don't remember. These artifacts are picked up through a very somewhat complicated method that I will not get into because that's just too much effort in my opinion. So, with these 2 artifacts, they allow you to be able to kill enemies that drop loot, allowing you to get more loot. The normal way to play is these boxes will spawn that you have to pay money for. When you pay money for them, an item will drop and you don't get to choose what item it is. It is a random item. With this method, the game is a little bit easier and in my opinion also a little bit funner because you can get as many items as you dang well feel like it, and you get to decide which items they are. Do you want to make the game hard? Only grab trash items, or grab no items at all. Do you want to make it easier? Grab the strongest items, wait it out, grab the most powerful items that you can, and walk through this game like a goddamn demigod. It's all up to you. It's a difficulty slider that you get to choose essentially mid-game. But now that I've explained why I'm so smart and you're so dumb, allow us to get right into it. First thing that happens, we get started back at the roots again. I'm not really a huge fan of this stage, but I feel like it's way more common to be the first stage you get than Titanic Plains, which I don't understand why. This stage is just fine. There's also like 3 variations of this stage with minor differences, but it's just, I don't know, it's the most common one. First thing that I get is the Hopo Feather. What does it do? It gives you double jump. Yes, Sonic already does have a double jump, but this one will give you an extra one, and you can just keep getting as many ones as you want. Next up I get is the ukulele, which when you attack an enemy has a chance of causing lightning to shoot out, which will do the same attack on other enemies that spawn around it. Now, after that, I choose to do something that I don't normally do, mostly because it's a Darian tactic, but I want to actually win, and that is get the medkits. Whenever an enemy hits you, you lose health, but if you have the medkit, you get some of that health back. So obviously, I want to keep that on me. That's a useful thing to carry. And then I want predatory instincts. Every time that you get a predatory instincts, your critical strikes will also increase your attack speed. This can only be stacked 3 times, which is a little disappointing, but you know what? It's fine. I guess they don't want to make you too much of a god. Next thing I get is the Trophy Hunter's Tricorn, which is a gun that insta-kills any boss. So obviously, we get the Beetle Queen, and I walk up to it, and boom! Now she's dead, and I get me a nice yellow item. What do I get? Obviously the drones, because they are the most useful in my opinion. Now, I nearly die here, but being the god that I am, I just choose not to be dead, and it's really just that easy. You guys need to learn how to get good at these games. Now, next up I get is the sunglasses, a super useful item that increases your critical strike chance by 10%, and then I get the Harvest Scythe, which gives you healing every time that you hit a critical strike, but also increases your critical strike chance itself. Now, after I defeat the teleporter boss, I decide, you know what, it's time to go. We then move on to my favorite frickin' stage in this game, that being the Alpine Sanctuary. I think this area is just fudging beautiful, and with the music, with the Sonic music on, it is frickin' bumping. Now, luckily, we get a Void Seed, which is good, because 2 items in the Void Seed are very important to me at all times and for this run. Now, as you can see here, I'm going frickin' bonkers bananas, because I am not playing any games. This run is really fun in my opinion. I actually think this is probably one of the best runs that I've had in Risk of Rain, which I am really bad at. I decide this time that I am going to grab the most important item, the power cell. Now, the power cell from the Void is very important because the R attack is really powerful. The normal spin up during it is pretty weak, but the slam down does like 5 times base damage, which is absolutely cracked. So I want to get as much of those as I possibly can. Next up, I ended up getting the Weeping Fungus. Now, normally I would get Safer Places first, but I, for some reason, didn't feel like I really needed Safer Spaces that much. I do end up getting it later, but I wasn't too worried about dying this round. I think I was just going max damage and max healing. Next up, I get Keijaro's Band, which causes fire damage whenever you do at least 400% normal damage, which some homing attacks do, but it's not guaranteed. But the R attack, which is like the spinning slam, is guaranteed. Next, I get Renaud's Band, which gives you cold damage whenever you do at least 400% damage. Obviously here, we get the Beetle Queen again. Destroyed her. It wasn't even close. Like, get out of here, fudging garbage. And I decided that I need to catch up on my critical strike chances. I'm already in stage 2. I should already have 4. I mean, I should already have 10, but you know what? It is what it is. So I'm going to go around here and grab some more stuff. And I'm starting to realize, like, I'm looking a little shy on items right now. I could use some more. This is not enough items for me. So first thing I do is I grab the Trophy Hunter's Tricorn, which is once again a boss-killing gun. It's super fudging powerful. And I decided to load up a little bit more on my Harvest Scythes. Harvest Scythes are just extremely useful because they do more healing than the Leech Seed. Leech Seed gives you 1 HP for every time that you attack an enemy. And it's good if you're using multi, but it's kind of bad if you're using quite literally anybody else. Now we are on this area, which I don't remember what it's called. I believe it's like Siphon Waste, something like that. This is probably my least favorite stage in this game. The enemies all do poison damage, and it just generally isn't very interesting to look at for me. I think it just looks kind of gross. And I'm just going off. Like, just watch this sick gameplay, man. I'm absolutely going off this round. It is not easy. It is not close. I end up fighting a boss, shooting him with the tricorn, and then taking out its little twin. Killing it, I decide to go for the lightning strike, which is rare for me. I don't usually get that as my secondary, but I decided why not. I get more power cells so that I can continue to have more of these absolutely devastating attacks. Now, I did stop at 8 sunglasses, and you might wonder why that is. It's because the sights themselves give you more critical strike chance as well. And I already have 2, so I don't see a reason to grab another sunglasses, because I am essentially at 100% critical strike chance as is. But going on here, I realized that I probably should grab some more healing items and some more damaging items. My health and damage isn't bad by any means, but it can definitely be better. Next is Sundered Groves. Just a W area. It's one of my favorites, and it is a stage 4, which means that there is a nice red item to be found here. I actually spend a lot of time in this area because the red item has like 6 different spawn locations, and finding them is hard. It's not easy. Ended up using my tricord gun on this big jellyfish boy over here, mostly because he's my least favorite boss to fight, because he will kill you very, very easily. Grab me some exploding whenever I have bleed on someone. Now, this may seem like a weird choice to you because I have no bleed items right now, but just by having it, I now have a chance to cause bleed. Now, as you can see, I had already found the red item, but I am broke, and for some reason, the red item this time around is really, really expensive. So I run around trying to grab some money so that I can eventually get it. Finally, I end up getting a red item. I decide to go for the 100% damage on critical strike chances. That one is my favorite. It just makes your attacks way more powerful, so, you know, gotta have it. And then finally, I decide it's time to go fight the boss. Boss comes in, we get the Stone Titan, and I just demolish him, man. It wasn't even tough. It was actually embarrassing. Of course, I get close to dying again, mostly because these big floating boys do dumb amounts of damage. It's kind of unfair. But of course, we have already succeeded. I decide to grab me a nice and delicious horn, causing magma to shoot out from attacks. Finally, we hit stage 5, which is always the same. Stage 5 and stage 6 do not change. And this is probably my second favorite stage. It's just beautiful. I'm a big fan of the color purple. And the enemies here are just really ominous, and I love that fact. Now, the absolutely amazing Sonic music kicks in, but it wasn't even really a boss fight. I had my Trophy Hunter's gun, and what did spawn was the Grandparent. I don't know if you saw it because of how quickly he died, but ended up destroying him, absolutely wrecking him, so we are already set for the 6th stage, because the chances of me dying here are pretty much 0. Finally, the final stage, which is so amazing. This is just a really good stage. I absolutely love it. We end up running in, and normally I expect there to be one of those turret boys sitting up here, but for some reason there just wasn't one this time around, so, I mean, works better for me. I don't like fighting them anyways. Now, I only grabbed 2 Hopo Feathers, which is abnormal for me. I usually have like 6 by this time, but I really wanted to get a bunch of power cells and scythes, so I don't know. I guess I just didn't get it. It is what it is. Sometimes it just be that way. Now, first up is the normal pillars. These ones just go down if you stand within the certain radius of them, so Easy peasy lemon squeezy, absolutely nothing for me. Absolute trash. Next I ended up going for is these ice ones. Mostly because I didn't want to do the blood ones. I was fairly certain that if I did try the blood ones, I was going to end up dying. Which, to be fair, I nearly died this time around too, because I decided to just stand in one place and get hit several times. Now, completing the pillars, I decided to launch myself up to go fight Mithrix. Get started on the fight. Beginning of the fight, super easy, not even a challenge. And with my so many R attacks, this is even more trivial. Although I did have a few close calls, I still wasn't worried. Just run around, get yourself a little bit of health, and chill out. Music absolutely bumping in the background. Honestly, I'm probably just going to let a fair bit of this fight just play out, because it's gorgeous. So, have some fun listening to this absolutely amazing music. Finally, we reached through phase 3. Like I told you, all of my items get taken. And at first, I actually thought that these drones were still on my side, but I guess they weren't, and I just didn't even realize it at first. But, you know, being Himothy and realizing that he's just kind of standing there, I decided to sit back and wait for some of my stuff to recharge. Getting bored, I decided to just run at him. And honestly, you get your items back so fast that this third phase is really trivial. I remember thinking this first stage was so scary because you lose all your items, but it's really not even a concern. I defeat him just like that, super easy. And now you have to do a chase scene to run back. You have a certain amount of time to get back with all of these instant damage areas just kind of popping up. But you get like 2.5 minutes, so as long as you have some speed, this area is nothing. It's super easy. And just like that, I have beaten Risk of Rain 2 on Monsoon and defeated Mithrix. Unlike a certain somebody I could mention. Looking back, I think about things, and I start to wonder, was I in the right here? Darian, he was just celebrating his 700 subscribers. He wanted to show off a little bit, and he found a fun mod to play in Risk of Rain 2. Was it right for me to try to take away that accomplishment and prove that I am better? It's a question worth pondering. The answer is absolutely yes. Darian sucks. Hate him. Worst YouTuber. You should take away all of his subscribers. Ban him from YouTube. Shout out to me. Shout out to the devs of this game. Everyone should go play Risk of Rain 2 and try out the Sonic mod. It's actually really impressive, and Sonic controls super fudging well. If you know what you're doing, he's kind of in easy mode, not gonna lie, but that's only if you know what you're doing. If you're not really good at the game or anything, then do not try beating it with Sonic. Thank you all for watching. Hope you loved it. Everyone go watch Darian-sama, and I'm going to leave you alone right now. Have a great mother-fudging day.
My eyes, I get to go home with you. All the lights up in the sky, all the times that I spent by your side taught me love and taught me pain, things that I could never have explained. Now I'm not alone, a family of my own. I get to go home with you. Feelings deep inside come flowing from my eyes. I get to go home with you. Watching you go through all that you do, I never knew until I felt it too. But now I know that love is beautiful. There's so much more that I want to find out with you. to stay forever. Everything feels warmer and safer. Anything we can get through together now that I'm with you. Home, sweet home. Home with you. Home, sweet home. I'm with you. Home, sweet home. Home with you. Home, sweet home. I'm with you. Now I'm not alone, a family of my own. I get to go home with you.